Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. As always, a free way to support the channel is by leaving a like, by leaving a comment, by leaving multiple comments, or by subscribing if you have not already done so. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. At the moment, the cryptocurrency market is like trending sideways down, if that kind of makes any sense. It should. It's a phrase I say quite often, so it should be relatively well known. It says Bitcoin price analysis, Bitcoin stable above $40,000 as consolidation takes precedence. So Bitcoin is actually even at 42,000 right now. I think one of the main numbers that we've heard or I've read over the last couple of days is that as long as Bitcoin remains above 40,000, we are in the good zone. We tried to multiple times, the price-wise, go below 42,000. It pops right back up a couple of minutes later. So this seems to be a very good area for us currently to be in. There was not today an enormous amount of price news. I simply think people writing these articles had really no idea what to write about, because typically if prices are up by about a good 8%, they can usually write, well, bulls are taking control and bulls are so and so and so. But as things consolidate sideways, they never really know what to write. It says technical analysis, Ethereum holds strong at 2,750. A strengthening case for upside. There was really, and I mean, that was basically the bulk of the price news. We typically even sometimes have this really weird like altcoin news where they'll talk about like Cardano looks like it could rise by so-and-so. There was none of that today. It was simply just prices are going sideways. It looks like we could potentially rise higher. There were one or two articles who were talking about that they think that we have to go down a tiny bit more before the movement back up. One of the main things that I did see when looking at price news this morning was this same exact idea that we were talking about yesterday and the day before, I believe, that for some reason September is seen as a very negative month for the cryptocurrency space, for whatever reason that might be. And October is, for some reason, October, November, and December are seen as these like gleaming beacons of hope when it comes to price. And a lot of people think that as we enter October, that things could, of course, get a lot better for prices. The reasoning, I assume, why we are still trending sideways and or sideways downward, if you will, has to do with the fact that the stock markets around the world are still not doing extremely well. It says tech stocks and crypto fall as U.S. 10-year Treasury yield hits highest level since June. There's a lot of discussion because everyone around the world, everyone who's even not in finance, I have a lot of friends who don't even deal in finance who are telling me about inflation and how they're affected by inflation and how things in the stores are getting more expensive, how they either don't have a job or how they can't find a job, or, you know, even if they do have a job, their job isn't giving them a raise quick enough to keep up with the, you know, the $3 increase of something that they've seen in the store. So, I mean, there's just a lot of things really going on. The economy is well overdue for a stock market crash completely across the board. We have been in a 12 or 13 year bull run that is very normal, if you kind of want to say that. There's also news of as far as like the amount of money printing that's been going on by different countries, but usually the US is the one at the forefront in this topic. The trillions of dollars that they've been printing, a lot of people have been having a lot of problems with that. And they have they've hinted that at some point in the future, they may potentially, they're not sure yet, start tapering off with their purchases and may not be creating as much money or using as much money to buy up bonds and stocks and other things like that they've been trying to keep markets afloat with, which is basically the reason why markets have been up. The government has been printing money and buying up assets with them, if you will, in an effort to make the economy look like it's normal when it's not. So any indication by them saying that, hey, we might stop purchasing these things has caused stock markets to kind of fall down and tumble as we've seen over the last week or so. We are still, I guess, in some way, or probably not, completely correlated with the stock market. I do think that it has to do with a simple, a lot of people who've been in the traditional stock market, they kind of panic when they see one thing go down. They assume that everything else has to go down, so maybe they're removing themselves from their positions. I still think it's just whales who know exactly where Bitcoin is going to go, and they're simply trying to flush other people out of the market. As we've seen over the last 3 to 4 years, it happens every couple of months. And then we always get news about it as if it's something completely brand new. It says equities plunge on debt ceiling concerns, major cryptos tumble, market wrap, U.S. stocks slide as the S&P 500 posted its biggest sell-off in 4 months. The stock market the stock market is going to destroy everything because it's being held up artificially by fake money that's being printed. And I know we've had this discussion before, but it's a huge actual concern because it means that nothing actually has value that should have value. Everything that's been pumping for the last 2 years in stock markets and also in real estate and other things like that is just based off of money that they're using, that they're printing at will, that's then being used to... Anyway, so that's the current situation. There are a lot of people, of course, in Wall Street who are very worried. One of two things is going to happen, and one seems far more likely. The unlikely one is an actual stock market crash, like a wiping out and a restarting over. I think at this point, the damage has been done so much. If you try to unravel it, the entire system would completely collapse. So what we've seen has happened before is that they keep printing, they keep pushing more money into the market. Someone on Wall Street indicates, hey, everything's a go. Everyone kind of, agrees with them. Markets begin to fly back up, and that's just how it's been for the last, literally since the beginning of last year, if you've been paying attention to markets. And then on top of that, as far as price news-wise, it says JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon seems to grudgingly admit that Bitcoin could reach $400,000. Who cares? I'm really tired of reading about Jamie Dimon, and the only reason I included this is because this is one of the more popular news stories of the day. I try to bring you the popular news, if you will, even when I try to avoid it. I don't care what Jamie Dimon has to say. I don't care what Warren Buffett has to say. I don't care what any of these. I literally simply do not care because they've been talking negatively about Bitcoin since around 2013. Bitcoin was $10, $100, $459. They had something negative to say about it. You see how high that we've come, even though they kept on saying Bitcoin's going to zero. So Jamie Dimon admitted during an interview that he believes that it is quite easy for Bitcoin to do a 10x in price from here. However, he's still not going to buy any because he's not a believer or a fan of Bitcoin. And I was like, cool. I hope you never buy Bitcoin. I hope you never have a wallet for it. I hope you never get into the cryptocurrency space because we do not need you. We don't, positively or negatively, we don't need him to say anything bad about it because we simply don't care. Or if he says something good about it and starts buying Bitcoin, sure, why not? I hope you live your best life. So anyway, that's the price news. Nothing really spectacular. I think everyone's simply waiting for this month to be over. I'm not really sure. All the, what do you call it? All the metrics for Bitcoin and for Ethereum and everything else are doing really well. The only real negative news that we've had is the stock market, which should have no actual effect on Bitcoin itself. But alas, here we are. The fundamentals are completely great. More people are mining than ever before. More people are using it than ever before. There's more money flowing through the network than we've ever seen before. Bitcoin has had no downtime. Neither has Ethereum. All these really good things. You can measure all these things by math, but alas, here we are. So yeah, that's all the price news. Yeah. And let's move on. Also in speculation land today, Coinbase, the world's leading public crypto exchange, tweeted an official blog titled, Coinbase Report, Expect Growth in Crypto Fund and SEC Approved ETF Soon. End quote. However, the tweet was deleted soon after, giving fire to the speculation about a possible Bitcoin ETF approval by the SEC in October. The speculation mill believes the recently deleted tweet is a possible hint at the approval of the first ever crypto ETF in the United States. If you remember about a week ago, we had news that there were, I think, 2 analysts who came forward. One of them had a more popular news story than the other, who basically announced that they believe that in October we are going to see, they said, we do not know. They said that we are going to see the approval of a Bitcoin futures ETF, which will kind of give rise to every other cryptocurrency ETF taking place within the United States. This is still hyper speculation. The idea is, as usual, Coinbase is big enough and rich enough that people assume that they were maybe in the room during that discussion or simply know someone who gave it a yay, said, hey, it's going to happen in October, and therefore Coinbase somehow got this information. They released a blog post potentially too early. Who exactly knows? It does seem a bit interesting that they would create an entire blog post, tweet about it, and then delete it a couple of seconds later. And I usually chalk it up to, maybe someone made a mistake, but this has happened so many times in the cryptocurrency space. I'm not sure if it's like an intern or what exactly is going on, but there's always a situation. It happens so often where someone releases some type of information and they go, we didn't do that, when everyone else saw it. People were taking screenshots of it, and then at some point they release the information 2 to 3 weeks later, whatever the actual case might be. So this was also very popular. I really wish cryptocurrency had any hint of the original ideas that it previously had. These ideas that we have to, the people who ruined the world in 2008 and 2009, the people from banking, them chiming into the cryptocurrency space, like Jamie Dimon saying, oh, I don't care about Bitcoin. Like, why should that have any effect on our market? Why should a Bitcoin ETF have any effect on our market? The idea of Bitcoin is, I own some, you own some, your friend owns some. Everyone can own a portion of Bitcoin. We don't need a fund that is approved by a government agency to tell other people that they're able to buy into that fund for Bitcoin's price to be able to actually go up. Like, all this stuff is so convoluted and so ridiculous, and we're constantly fed this lie. However, when there is a Bitcoin ETF that is approved in any capacity within the United States, prices will rise simply because we've been told that they have to rise. And the institutional investors who believed for so long in other markets that when there is an ETF or something that the price would also rise, the price will rise accordingly. So sure, why not? We will get a Bitcoin ETF within the United States at some point. I still think it's going to happen in the year 2024. That's not even a joke. The SEC has been... I try to find the right word, and I usually just call them special, but like they've really taken the cake, bit the cake, sliced the cake, threw the cake away. I don't know. They did something to a cake that is really like they need to actually be looked into, because at this point it's like every other country in the world has kind of gotten it together except for the US SEC, and the word corruption has been thrown around quite a bit when it comes to them, because it doesn't take 6 years to approve anything. And also the other stuff that they've been doing as of recent to multiple companies. So, cool. Speculation is abound that sometime in October we will get a Bitcoin ETF. If we do, amazing. If we don't, Bitcoin's price is still going to rise. Bitcoin's price will still be able to rise to $100,000 without a Bitcoin ETF. That's just how supply and demand works. That's the ETF news. And let's move on. In the most popular news of the day, and I'm not sure why this was the most popular news. I think people wanted this to be the most popular news, and therefore it's the most spoken about news that we have of the day. U.S. crypto exchange Kraken has been hit with a hefty fine. It's not really that large if you want to be realistic. By the CFTC, that is the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, for illegal crypto products. Many cryptocurrency websites made sure to announce that Kraken had not only been hit with fines, but usually in the title somewhere, they made sure to announce, it was hefty, they did something illegal, they did something so-and-so, Kraken, blah, 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 blah. It was the same exact stuff that we've been seeing for every other cryptocurrency exchange. Coinbase was also just hit with a fine or an SEC something or told no, yada, yada, yada. It's happening across the board. According to a CFTC statement on the 28th of September, Kraken allowed U.S. customers to access products that were supposed to be prohibited for them. The order requires Kraken to pay $1.25 million as a penalty to cease and desist from further violations of the Commodities Exchange Act. The exchange, founded in 2011, allowed its U.S. customers to trade with margin products between June 2020 and July 2021. It was also accused of failing to register as a Futures Commission merchant or an FCM. That was the problem. They didn't file paperwork, and for some reason over the course of a year, and you know what's really crazy as well? A lot of these websites, I'm sure you've gone on them. I've had friends who've told me before, like, hey, I tried accessing said website and I can't access it, or I can't access certain things. It's because of the SEC and the CFTC. They've basically told all these cryptocurrency exchanges, hey, you can't do X, Y, and Z. You cannot allow people from America to be able to do things on your website. But at some point, people kind of find a way to sliver in. And then when they do that, it's the cryptocurrency exchange who actually ends up getting in trouble because, you should have found a way to restrict this. It's because we're still living in the 1920s. I don't really know what other way to kind of say it. I don't know why the U.S. is so adamant and across the board in not allowing U.S. citizens, customers to be able to access these products. And they're not overseas. They're on the computer. We still live in a world where these, and I'm pretty sure Kraken is also based inside the US as well. So, yeah, that's the Kraken news. This was incredibly popular. Kraken faces $1.2 million fine from CFTC. Kraken to pay. CFTC hits Kraken with a $1.2 million fine over alleged illegal offering. See, when you read just the title, it says that Kraken had an illegal offering. You go, wow, they must have done something really bad. Nope, it was something that every other human being on the planet in every other country is allowed to access, except for the US. Some people, for some reason on their platform, got to it, and now Kraken has to pay $1.2 million. Doesn't it seem kind of weird? Especially in situations like that when it comes to like margin trading and stuff. If this is me, I would assume if you are, everyone should have to take a test to be able to margin trade in the first place. If you are going to have a 100x margin thing and you have no idea what margin trading is, remember last year when this guy, you must remember, it was actually a very sad story afterwards, who was margin trading, and I think he did one single trade trying to use leverage of money that he did not have, and I think he lost $7.6 million in one trade, and he was like, I didn't know what I was doing. If you're trading cryptocurrencies back and forth, that's one thing. If you're buying up crypto, cool, that's another thing. But if there's any point where you're trying to use $700,000 to make millions of dollars and you get wiped out completely and lose your entire position, you should probably on these exchanges like take a good like 30-minute test. Do you know what margin trading is? How does margin trading work? Do you understand that there are huge risks when you're doing this? Because a lot of people... Anyway, that's the Kraken news. I mean, this was the most popular news story of the day. I think people were just looking for something to kind of write about, something really dramatic that they could put into the news about any cryptocurrency exchange. But once again, this has happened across the board. We've had Coinbase news, we've had Binance news, OKEX, and all the other ones. They've at some point run into trouble with the CFTC or the SEC because somebody somewhere used a product that the US didn't want them to use. See, weird, right? It's kind of something, doesn't something feel off? All right. Anyway, that's probably just them trying to gain more control is also the way of saying it, but intensely hyper-regulate the cryptocurrency space. I think they all feel like they have to do something to kind of remain relevant. That's the CFTC news. Let's move on. Also in the news, which isn't really news, but also people tried to make it seem as if it was actually news. Decentralized cryptocurrency exchange Diversify, I see what they did there, has accidentally attached a transaction fee of nearly $24 million to a cryptocurrency transaction moving $100,000 worth of Tether. According to data from the Ethereum blockchain explorer Etherscan, Diversify paid 7,676 Ether, worth nearly $24 million as a transaction fee, while the current estimate for an average transaction fee is around $26. Actually more than that, but alas, here we are. So the news, and this happens often as well. This is not the first time that this has happened. If you've ever sent a transaction fee or an Ethereum something, you have to enter in all these numbers, and sometimes, due to human error, people, instead of typing in, oh, I want to pay $24 for my transaction fee, they may add a couple of extra numbers, or where they thought that they had to add in something else. A lot of times this happened before with other places where they add in the dollar amount that they're trying to send instead of the Ether amount or the Bitcoin amount, and therefore the amount that they would have sent in Ether, they type in that number, and they end up sending hundreds of thousands of dollars as a transaction fee. The silver lining is, as all this is blockchained, you can tell exactly where the transaction fee went to and which mining pool actually received it. So this cryptocurrency exchange contacted the mining pool and said, hey, we guys sent you some extra money, and the cryptocurrency exchange or the mining pool sent the transaction back to them because, you know, it's $24 million. If it had been anonymous, you know, that would have been something else entirely different. They would have lost their $24 million. And there was even a tweet about it. Someone talking about like the kindness of people within the cryptocurrency space returning money to who it belongs to. No, I have a feeling it's just because of transparency. If we could not tell who that transaction went to, these people would be having a party on a boat right now because they received a $24 million transaction fee. However, because we know exactly which mining pool it went to, or mining whatever, doesn't really matter, they were like, okay, yeah, we'll give it back because, transparency. So yeah, this was also very popular news. A lot of websites tried to spin this as Ethereum has such high transaction fees. Look how high this one was. No, this happens across every single blockchain, especially ones that actually have a transaction fee. There's always some situation where someone's sending money somewhere and it ends up being way too much for the transaction. I think this happened also at the beginning of the year as well. I feel like a lot of people who are either writing these articles or maybe just anything within the crypto, maybe they're very new to the cryptocurrency space and try to make it seem like these are actual things. It's not that I'm even trying to be like a debunker. It's more like so much of the news that we get is really stupid. Like, it's really constantly thrown out there as if it's supposed to be something like really major, like the Jamie Dimon news or the Kraken news. Like, these are not abstract things. Like, banks actually get fined hundreds of millions of dollars all the time, usually every single month. Usually, for those of you who don't know, here's a kicker. Banks sometimes can know that they're doing something illegal. The regulators will also know that they're doing something illegal, but the bank will only be fined around 10, 15, 25, only $25 million per month, but the bank itself is making around $200 million from the activity that they should not be doing. So they keep doing it because they know that they're still making an extreme profit. Okay, sure, take our $25 million per month. It means absolutely nothing to them. Anyway, so cool. That's the someone spent a lot of money and then got their money back news. And let's move on. Also in the news today, Switzerland's financial market supervisor announced on Wednesday that it had approved the country's first fund that invests primarily in crypto assets. The crypto market index fund is restricted to rich people and categorized under other funds for alternative investments with particular risks. The Swiss Financial Market Supervisory Authority, or FINMA, said in a statement, crypto assets are based on blockchain or distributed ledger technology. Oh, thanks. I had no idea. I thought cryptocurrencies were simply written on a piece of paper. All right, I'm it's not even that I'm trying to be cynical. Imagine being someone who writes cryptocurrency articles, and at the bottom of your paragraph, you write crypto assets are based on blockchain or distributed ledger technology. And I'm not reading this paragraph either. That is a huge paragraph, basically with them patting themselves on the back. So yeah, Switzerland has approved a cryptocurrency fund that is going to be investing in cryptocurrencies. This would be major news if this hadn't already happened in every other country around the world who has applied for a Bitcoin ETF or a Bitcoin exchange traded node or Bitcoin exchange traded product. This happens all the time in every other country. This is why it's still really weird that the US hasn't approved one of these, because I would have assumed a while ago maybe the US was actually really timid or held back from being able to approve any type of Bitcoin anything. So maybe they wanted to see other countries launching these products to see if they, fell flat of, wow. I tried to say fall flat on their face, and then I was like Falaminin, and then Falaminen's not a word, so that's where I got. But I assume, no, I think it's just the US doing something really odd behind the scenes, because things should have been approved, like I said earlier. But yeah, sure. This is, I think there are multiple funds that now invest exclusively in crypto. I guess maybe this is another one that's somewhere on the list as well. Not really major news. If it was the first time it happened, that'd be great. But Switzerland has been doing extremely well. I guess that's why there's so many rich people who live there. Anyway, cool. That's also news. Can't believe that it took place. And will probably happen again next week, because once one ends up going through, they all kind of get pushed through as well. Alrighty. Let's move on. And to finish things off, the Ethereum network's long-planned upgrade to a scalable proof-of-stake consensus model grows closer as developers have set a date for the Altair upgrade. That is Altair. Altair, which is described as the first mainnet upgrade to the Beacon chain, is scheduled to take place on the 27th of October. That is less than a month away. According to Ethereum Foundation researcher Danny Ryan, Ryan described the technical upgrade as saying, this upgrade brings light client support to the core consensus, cleans up beacon chain state incentive accounting, fixes some issues with validator incentives, and steps up the punitive parameters as per EIP 2982. So we have a date for the next upgrade. It is going to be Altair. It is the 27th of October. The other major upgrade that I think most people are actually looking forward to is the Ice Age freezing of the chain thing, that which we've heard before is supposed to be happening sometime in December. We also heard yesterday, or was it the day before? I think it was yesterday, that Vitalik Buterin was saying that there's basically nothing holding them back from getting to Ethereum 2.0 now. Nothing that anyone is explicitly working hard on, as everything else has basically been smoothed out. So yeah, cool. Can't wait for the upgrade to happen. I don't think anyone actually cares about Altair really happening. And it's really funny because these are the actual upgrades that really make it easier to actually use Ethereum. I think the main thing people want is just to simply 100,000 transactions per second, as we've been promised for a very long time. Transaction fees of like 1 cent would also be quite nice for use on the network, and just to go completely proof of stake so that we can stop having that conversation about Ethereum not being green enough or not being so-and-so, and, you know, that whole deal. So cool. Awesome. Next upgrade coming in less than a month. Going to be fun. Can't wait for the party. All right. I don't have my phone with me. I woke up again and had 2% and it's charging because I keep forgetting to charge it. Thank you very much to my Patreon supporters. Thank you to everyone who is a member of the channel. Thank you to everyone who clicked like, who clicked like twice, who commented, or as subscribed. Yeah, at the moment, Bitcoin is currently at 42,376. Here's this really weird dip that we had across the evening. I think we went to around $40,000 and then quickly bounced back up. This is clearly whale movement. There was not consensus through the minds of the hundreds of millions of people who are into Bitcoin that they all decided at the exact same time to all sell off their coins. No, that's not how it works. A lot of the market's in green. It's a light green, but we'll see exactly where the rest of the day takes us. Ethereum is a smidge away from $3,000. Cardano's also holding strong, $2.13. I'm glad we didn't fall back down to like $1 or something like that. People would have completely lost their minds and started to panic. Solana is up by 3%. Uniswap is up by 5%. All the stable coins are also in red and going down, which is usually a good sign as well. Chainlink is up by 2. Algorand is up by 2 as well. Lumens is up by 2. Ethereum Classic is up by 2. OKB is up by 15. Axie Infinity is up by 11. Good for them. That's awesome. Anything else crazy? Kusama is up by 8. And Shiba Inu is back in the top 50. I think it was gone for a while. It is up by 1% as well. We'll see where the rest of the day and the rest of the week takes us. As long as we keep getting any type of spooky or scary stock market news, it's going to have an effect on our market. Even though it should not, but that's just how the current times work. Yeah, I do hope you all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are. Wherever you might be, I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, and supporting, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.